Hey Texas JSA, my name's Pardo and I'm your current director of CA. But more importantly, I'm running to be your next Texas JSA governor. Now, let me get into a little bit about my JSA journey. I joined JSA as a freshman where I joined that online COVID year and I really got to see JSA as a whole that next following year when I became chapter president of Besa Chavano, my lovely chapter. And there it was a really transformative experience because now I was actually running the meetings and taking us to conventions. And so that really gave me that organizational experience, that leadership experience, but more importantly to me, that confidence to get myself more involved within JSA as a whole. And so I went to the Montezuma Leadership Summit that following year, and then I made probably one of the best decisions of my life, becoming the director of CIA, where I've met so many amazing people across the board in this position, and I've really been able to help improve communication across the board, and also kind of introduce my little baby, the chapter point system that I love to death. But I also am someone kind of outside of JSA. Some of my favorite things to do are go on walks, take naps, and I'm actually a really big fan of music, and some of my favorite artists are Omar Apollo, Lana Del Rey, and Frank Sativa. Now, let me get into a little bit more of what I stand for. When I was kind of in the drafting phase of my platform, I was really thinking, okay, what do I want? And I came down to two things. And I want these two things to be seen at all levels of JSA. And that's planning, which is where I want to see everything I do basically planned ahead of time and effectively so that everyone can be better involved, but that works in conjunction with my second point of communication, is that I want everyone to be better informed. Everyone from people in position to just your regular Texas JSAer, so that everyone knows what's going on and everyone's better informed. And I want to do this through different things like a monthly newsletter, monthly director meetings, and have a remind in Slack that anyone can join. Now let's get into each of the levels. First is a chapter level, which I really think is the heart of JSA, and that's really where my love of JSA stems. And because of that, I really want to give chapters and their chapter presidents the resources that they need to thrive, such as fundraising and activism project lists so that we can get those projects done on a chapter level, but also these chapter cons, which actually stems into the regional level, where I really want to foster this regional connectivity and culture within JSA that I really think stems at this level, and I want to do this through regional conventions and these chapter cons that I mentioned at the previous level, which is where you have these debates, thought talks, activism projects, but they're all with chapters within your region, and so it really fosters this connectivity that I really love about JSA. And then finally, the last level is a state level at the very top, and I really want to make it more efficient, effective, and responsive to you through many different things, such as hosting, training workshops for our House Representative and Senate members, by, making the cabinet more efficient and effective, bringing more activism projects, bringing more speakers, having more debates, having JSA expanded more through different initiatives. And finally, the biggest kind of thing I really want to work on is making the bigger conventions more affordable and accessible to all of you. Now, let me end on this note of why I'm running. So, before I even did anything in my campaign, I really sat down and kind of talked to myself, if you want to say that. Why am I running? And I'm running for one reason, and that's really to represent you effectively. And what do I mean by that? My campaign slogan, which is actually on this really cool button, is for you and with you. And I really do mean that. I'm really here for you. I'm here to work for you, but I'm also here to work with you. Is that I'm not here to be isolated from you guys. I'm here to work with you and hear what you want. What do you want in JSA? How can I help implement that? And it's not like, oh, I'm going to go implement that. It's, I'm going to work with you to implement that on a whole basis. Sorry. Now, that's it. I really want to work with you. And so at the end of the day, when you go to the ballot box, remember to vote Tez for Gov. Thank you.
I remember the first time I stepped into the classroom. Well, actually, the Google Meet. I was extremely nervous as I was a wimpy freshman who knew nothing about high school clubs. My older sister assured me that I'd be fine, but of course, I didn't believe her. As I clicked the join button, I didn't know at the time that I'd be making the best decision of my life. As soon as I entered the room, I automatically felt my nerves dissipate, and I felt comfortable. I was able to carry a lighthearted spirit as we debated endlessly over vampires and werewolves, and I soon realized that this is the organization for me. Now, if you told me at the end of this meeting that I'd be running to be part of the big three, I would have called you crazy and simply laughed at you, because I was always filled with stage fright growing up and never believed I had the confidence to step into that type of spotlight. However, fast forward 3 years later, and here I am today, standing before you, running to be your next LTG, because I have gained the confidence and leadership experience necessary, in which I have Texas JSA to thank for. Hey there, Texas JSA. My name is Ava Abraham, and I'm running to be your next LTG. During my freshman year, I regularly attended virtual meetings and virtual conferences, which ultimately sparked my true passion and love for JSA. In my sophomore year, I made the bold move to apply to cabinet because I wanted to see the behind the scenes of Texas JSA, and I became CIA agent, in which I had the chance to communicate with chapter presidents across the state. Furthermore, I was designated as the underclassmen representative of my chapter, and I eagerly gathered up my classmates to invite them to JSA meetings. This year, I'm currently the treasurer of my chapter, and I'm the deputy director of CIA, in which I work with the CIA department in creating the chapter point system, crafting messages and agendas to send out to CPs, and constantly reminding CPs of the current events going on within our states. Additionally, one of the most thrilling experiences I got to partake in was the Montezuma Leadership Summit, in which I had the opportunity to interact with JSAers across the nation as we actively learned new methods and techniques to make JSA even better. Now, as we have shifted into a post-COVID-19 world, it has been a crazy journey, but Texas JSA has definitely made its comeback. However, I believe we can also do more to make the organization that we all love even better. Now, I'm not going to go through my platform, but I would highly encourage you guys to read it as it reflects my character, my passion, and ultimately the initiatives I want to implement if I am elected to be your next LTG. My platform can be found on my JSA Instagram with the handle @Ava Abraham for LTG. My platform is centered around 3 pillars: engagement, communication, and awareness. Now, first, engagement. I want to strengthen the engagement among our regions by hosting more monthly town hall meetings and increasing the amount of one-day conventions we have so that we can all get to know each other more and truly create the tight-knit community that Texas JSA is known for. Additionally, I want to be more engaging by implementing more weekly or monthly activism projects that can be done within the chapter and debate topics that are chosen by chapters themselves, no matter their size, so that JSA is able to emphasize the true meaning of democracy and increase engagement overall. I want to send out feedback forms to chapters so that we can know our areas of improvement as a cabinet and state in general in order to perform even better. Secondly, I want to strengthen the communication that exists between cabinet members and chapters because there shouldn't be any barriers preventing us from doing so. This would include more interactive meetings with CPs and professional workspace group chats with TAs so that everyone is in the loop when it comes to current JSA events. And finally, awareness. I really want to strengthen the expansion department by continuing to work on the middle school outreach program so that we can spark interest in individuals at such a young age. Additionally, I plan to continue our fun and friendly competitions in order to spark a sense of motivation with chapters to invite other schools and local schools to start a chapter, thus allowing us to grow as a state and allowing them to receive more points towards their leadership board. Overall, I hope you will consider my experience, platform, but most of all, passion for JSA, because I want to help each of you reach your maximum potential within your JSA journey. Let's aspire with Ava together in order to grow and become even more united together. I hope that you will vote Ava Abraham to be your next LTG.
Hey JSAers, my name is Varun Manickam, and I'm here to make a case for why you should vote for me to be your next Texas JSA Lieutenant Governor. For just a little bit about me, this is my 3rd year in JSA, so I was an expansion agent last year, and currently your Deputy Director of Expansion. I'm also the Vice President of the Bel Air chapter in the GCR region. You can find more about my life outside of JSA on my Instagram, which is at Varun4LTG. That's a number 4. Since my freshman year, I've seen a lot of the changes in the JSA experience. My first year had a lot of the OGs from the in-person times, and thus the attendance remained quite high even with the introduction of virtual conventions. Unfortunately, in the following 2 years, last year and this year, there's been a severe decline in the attendance, making it even harder to lower costs and make conventions a more appealing event that happens thrice a year. With my 2 years in the expansion department, I've seen directly how accessibility is the root to all the fun and portable educational experiences in these events. My experience in this department leads me to centralize my campaign with a simple and focused agenda, surrounding accessibility and transparency. To be brief, my main policy from a general standpoint is to create a feedback form that runs the entire year that directly involves any member where they can file complaints or ideas they want to see happen, and the best part is that's directly managed by the executive department. That eliminates the middleman and increases transparency ultimately. Secondly, I want to create a centralized Notion database to be kept up to date with every department to maintain efficiency and accountability for every single department. This allows us to create small deadlines and prompt more initiative from both directors and agents in each respective department. Individual department goals are available at my platform at tinyurl.com/varun4, number 4, LTG platform. Again, that's tinyurl.com/varun4 LTG platform. Lastly, to just keep this quite short and directly to the point, my campaign is an extension of all of your voices, which I value extremely highly. So please feel free to DM me or contact me in any way possible. You want to add any suggestions to my platform so you can see the change that you want to see materialize in real time. Thank you so much for your support, and I really hope you vote me to be your next Texas JSA Lieutenant Governor. Let's make that change happen.
Hey Texas JSA, I'm Khushi Patel, and I'm beyond excited to be running for your next Lieutenant Governor. It is truly a privilege to be running for a position like this. To start off, here's a little get to know me. I'm a current junior at San Marcos High School and this vice president of my chapter. My chapter is in the ACR region. That also reminds me that I'm one of the only 2 ACR candidates running for Big 3 this year. At chapter level, I served as a financial advisor my sophomore year, hosting numerous fundraisers and opportunities in order for my chapter to attend conventions. I currently serve as the ACR mayor and the activism agent in the activism department. My very first convention was Fall State 2021 as a sophomore. I observed a great amount of love students hold for JSA that inspired me to get involved even more. As my last year approaches in JSA, fighting apathy and returning something special to this organization as an appreciation is one of my main reasons to run for your Lieutenant Governor. JSAers, we come together like we do each spring to finalize our candidates, and it is about time for election season. Now, let's get into some details about my platform. My platform is based on 3 major points: accountability, inclusivity, and enrichment. Accountability is to assure that delegates take responsibility for their goals in cabinet or any other positions they take for. Inclusivity is one of my most important platform points, since I believe everyone is rightful to the FEC and Senate meetings. And my last point is enrichment, since I want to bring JSA's best quality by flourishing and fostering productivity and using helpful resources to the Senate. My main priorities will be revamping the CIA, bringing greater awareness to the FEC, and expanding regional activities in more chapters in order to produce more opportunities for the students. If I get elected this season, I will dedicate myself to this prestigious organization at its maximum impact. Hence, I'd be more than delighted to and honored to receive your vote this election season. You can learn more about me and my platform or my ideas by finding links on my Instagram account at Khushi for LTG. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I hope I receive your vote this election season. Have a great day.
Hi Texas JSA, my name is Pranav Kalakuntla, and I'm running to be your next Speaker of the House. As a little bit of context about me, I'm the current convention coordinator, so you might have seen me hopping in and out of debate blocks and of activism blocks during Fall State and Winter Congress. And I can assure you guys that next Spring State is going to be absolutely amazing. But I joined JSA myself in my freshman year, and although I didn't know what the phrase fight apathy actually meant, after a quick Google search of the term apathy, I found that I myself was a little bit apathetic. So I joined Texas JSA and became aware of the various and differing viewpoints and opinions regarding various issues that I need to become involved in. But as Texas JSA has grown, my involvement in it has as well. As I became PMC Senator and Assistant Convention Coordinator in my sophomore year, I got hands-on experience when it comes to writing legislation that I plan to transfer into becoming the Speaker of the House itself. And my freshman year, I was also representative. So I know on both sides of the Senate and the House of Representatives how to actually get effective legislation passed. But I plan to do just a couple things as Speaker of the House. First, I want to make sure that there is more bicameral cooperation. What I mean by this is that the Senate and the House of Representatives are communicating with each other and sending each other updates regarding legislation that they've wrote. But more than just this, I want the House of Representatives to get involved in writing legislation itself. As a representative myself, I didn't know how to write legislation or what the actual process was in terms of getting it passed. So, as Speaker of the House, I would ensure that I hold meetings with representatives very frequently to answer any questions that they have. But more than just this, I want the regional officials of each region to create a list of possible issues that representatives could write legislation on, so they have a bouncing off point in which they can actually start to get more involved when it comes to Texas JSA. But one of the key problems that I have seen many regional officials face is the fact that when it comes time to planning regional events, they have no one to rely on. And in the time between House of Representatives meetings, the representatives themselves don't have much to work on. So in order to solve both of these issues, I planned out to send a Google form to each and every representatives prior to the start of the school year. Once I get all of this information about what roles that they would like to take when it comes time to planning regional events, I would send this information directly to regional officials. This makes sure that regional officials have a database in which they can work with and make a strong case for their own people to have regional events on a more frequent scale. This would also streamline the process of planning regional conventions and make sure that all Texas JSAers, if they are representatives, have an opportunity to get involved in the process. Thank you all for listening to my speech regarding why you should vote for me as Speaker of the House. And remember, Pranav, because I will ensure that every single person in Texas JSA has a voice that will be heard and will be taken into account when we make decisions that impact the entirety of our organization.
If I had to compare JSA to one thing, I think I would compare it to the likes of an empire. I think that for both, they need to have a strong foundation that needs to be built upon in an effort to be successful. For both, I think that foundation would be having a good ruler and having a good set of advisors behind them. I think that for Texas JSA, that this example would be having the big six, who are the ones in charge of everything, and the adults who are behind them just making sure that JSA is running smoothly. However, I think that for both of these, that the most important thing is not the base, but actually the people in the organizations and the people that they represent. In the case of the empire, I think that the most important thing are the group of law-abiding citizens who are the ones who are actively contributing to the economy as well as contributing to society, enabling the empire to be successful. While in the case of JSA, I think that would be the group, that would be the individual chapters who are the ones that actively engage and actively attend each of the conventions that JSA holds, as they are the ones enabling JSA to accomplish its goal of fighting political apathy and allowing each person to have their own respective opinion, and then as well as giving them the platform to share them. Although I think JSA has done a great job so far in enabling these chapters to speak at different conventions and giving them this opportunity, I think that if I were to be elected as your Speaker of the House candidate, that I would be to greatly improve the participation and engagement currently done in JSA and what's currently had in it. For the most part, I think that there are two problems that are plaguing JSA right now. The first being a lack of communication, and the second being a lack of utilization of JSA's key resources. For the first thing, in order to get better communication within all levels of JSA, I would establish direct lines of communication between all levels of JSA. So between the big six and then the directors, I would establish monthly meetings in an effort for everyone to know what's going on. Then I would, for the directors in the cabinet, I would also host monthly meetings that are required, and they would need to send a summary of what was done in each meeting to each of the big six members or the chief of staff in an effort for everyone in JSA to know what's going on right now and for them to do their part in doing their thing. The last thing that I would do is by assigning each cabinet member to a representative of a chapter. The reason I would do this is because although the CIA department is the main source of communication between each chapter representative and JSA as a whole, I think that this could be greatly improved upon and that more issues of individual chapters can be met and can be addressed if we know what problems are plaguing them. For example, if a chapter is struggling with getting member participation, then they can directly work with the person in the publicity department that is assigned to them to work on their social media platforms or actively create an advertisement in an effort to get more members. Another thing that they can work on, and another trouble I know plaguing these chapters, is a lack of funding. For one thing that they can do with a fundraising agent is either get a local business to sponsor them, or perhaps host their own local fundraiser in an effort to get more money. Also, I think that this can be implemented into a larger scale, but if you want to know more about that, it's all listed in my platform, which is in my Instagram. Another thing that I want to be able to do is actually increase the utilization of JSA's resources. So I already talked about how JSA's cabinet system can be better utilized to meet the needs of each chapter, but I also can improve the current House of Representatives system, as currently the House of Representatives is very underutilized. And so in an effort to utilize them more, if I were to be your Speaker of the House, I would not only bring up these issues that are currently addressed by each of the chapters through the system of communication, but I would also have more representative in the actual meetings, and then send out a summary report of what we do at each meeting in an effort to show everyone in JSA that what we're trying to do to help each of their problems. If you want to see any more of my in-depth things about any of the problems that I mentioned, they're all in my platform below. And my main thing that I would say is to follow my campaign slogan, which is "Nam is your man" and vote for me as your elected official, as I want to do what's best for each person, and I want to be a representative of each person in JSA as well. And to do that, I believe that JSA is for the people, and in an effort to do that, I hope that you would elect me. But even if you weren't to do so, I think that I would do my best to try to do this for each person of JSA.